we are so very excited to be welcoming Sandwich to the stage. That is right. Oh my goodness gracious. Welcome.
What's up?
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
These new avatars are pretty cool, you guys. What do you guys think? I want to see hands up if you like them, hands down if you don't like them. I like them. I'm a huge fan. We got beards now.
First
yep, that's
interview
right.
with the new avatars.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. What do you think? What's your opinion, Sandwich?
Yeah, they look great.
Loving the facial hair. Yeah, yeah,
Thank
awesome.
you. That's a huge bonus.
So I just found out the other day, and I wasn't aware of this because you kind of fly under the radar. Your worlds are always popular, they're always popping, but you're flying under the radar as probably the most popular world creator, and I didn't know this. So give us some history, give us some background. What got you started, and how do you keep your worlds like so great? Because not only like there's a reason worlds are popular, right? Like if it's a great world, they're popular. So what are you doing to make your world so amazing? Let's hear it.
Yeah, when I first got in here, I had no idea what I was getting into. Horizon was just kind of this thing that I got an invitation for, and I didn't know what it was about. But I got in here, and some people took me through in a party and like showed me some worlds. And someone, RC Degs, invited me to go into build mode with her, and I'm like, I don't know how to build worlds. Like that doesn't seem like something I'd be good at. Like, no, I'm fine. But they're like, no, I think you'd be really good at building worlds. I'm like, okay, sure, I'll try it out. So I went in, and they were showing me, how to resize shapes and color them, and it was just all so simple and easy, and it was just blowing my mind how easy it was for me as someone who's never worked with 3D art and animation to go in there and build all this stuff with no experience. We started with basically they let me just kind of do whatever I wanted and look through the shapes that we had, and I noticed that one of them looked like a macaroni. So I'm like, all right, I'll use this. And so since I had a macaroni, I'm like, all right, if you have some macaroni, you need a bunch of macaroni. So I made that, and then I'm like, all right, if I have a bunch of macaroni, I need a macaroni bowl. And then all of a sudden, we were like, all right, we got to make an entire feast out of this. So all of us just made a bunch of food together, and we had a big table, and it was just blowing my mind how easy it was that I just got in there a couple hours ago, and I was already building an entire feast of food. And
that is so cool.
A little while later, someone who really inspired me to start scripting was Spastic Plastic. He was showing me his worlds, and he had this golf world, and he was showing me how you can, how he was creating his own physics to have a golf ball get pushed in a certain direction based off of how the puck was, or not puck, whatever they're called, that was positioned. And I'm like, if you can create your own physics in Horizon, then you could do anything. So that's what really got me interested in wanting to go in here and start building and just see what's possible.
That is so awesome. Spastic Plastic had some amazing things to say about you too. He is just blown away, and I am too. So what is your background? Did you have any amount of scripting background, or like any, like even 3D building inside of like Roller Coaster Tycoon 3? Did you have any of that sort of experience coming in here?
So I have no professional experience. I'm 23. I got out of college just like a year ago, and I never went into the industry, but I do have a lot of experience developing games. I actually started when I was 6 years old developing board games, and basically I just used cardboard and paper and just created games using that. And when I was 12, I started learning HTML and CSS, and started learning how to design websites with that. And also I've had several classes throughout high school. When I was a freshman, I created a asteroid shooting game where you got like a spaceship and then
Oh
you could
wow.
destroy asteroids and you had to try to get power ups and whatnot. And um, and also had my
So
classes in I had a um, it was like a trade school or went there for
mhm,
3 hours a day when I was a junior, and we worked on a game engine and built games through that. So I had a lot of experience through classes
mhm.
building games, and also just my college classes, learning
Yeah.
college math and physics. Those all helped a ton for being able to
Mhm.
create stuff in here.
That's so cool. So the first 3D
Yeah.
game I built was back in 2009, and it was a very pixelated world. Actually, my mom later saw Minecraft because I found it after starting this world, and she's like, "Did you make that?" And I'm like, "No, I did not make Minecraft." but it had like a couple trees, and it had like a little building, and I probably in a river. I put a river in. That was big,
hmm
and that took me a
I spent a lot
month
of
or
time in
more to build
Minecraft.
that.
Right.
And but yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Minecraft is
like,
so
but to
fun.
build it by hand in 3D space and like
hmm
have to make all the objects is so difficult. So what do you think about how Horizon has made it so incredibly easy to build the feast or the mine wars or the
Yeah.
action island? What has that been like going from
Right.
building
Yeah.
these
Building to
games in high
build
school to
things
this?
inside, be able to build them inside of 3D is a game changer. Um,
Yeah.
you it's so much more difficult working with 3D objects when you're having to use a 2D screen. Like I remember
Hmm.
trying to use Blender and you would make something and it would look right and then you'd rotate it and then you'd realize that the dimensions were all disproportioned and everything was stretched out incorrectly. But in here you can
Yeah.
actually see the dimensions of it. It's
Hmm.
it just yeah, it's so much more natural creating 3D when you're inside of a 3D environment.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it really is. It's so easy to pop in and think of how difficult it would be to build something like this. I
hmm
met, trying to see if they're in the audience right now, but we met two people just a couple hours ago and they were like afraid to start building. And I was like, no, this stuff is
hmm
easy. Like this marker, we built this marker and it requires zero script. We built these
Right.
like really cool, amazing things that just take minutes of time. And it's so cool and easy to get started. Cannot recommend
Yeah,
it enough. Yeah, keep
when I'm
going.
in Action Island, I'll be in there and I'll tell people that everything that was created in here was created inside the headset. All the programming was done, all the objects that you see,
Yeah.
everything was created originally inside of that game for that game. And it just blows people's minds that
Hmm.
that you can create all of this inside of a VR headset instead of needing tools like
Hmm.
Unity or needing like really advanced high-end computers for that and high-end software. It's all done for free inside of Horizon,
Yeah.
and that's really
I,
special.
I want to pass the mic
That's
over to
amazing.
Merc here. I know he had a
Yeah,
question for you about collaborations. Shoot.
yeah. I mean, you honestly have the most amazing, most visited worlds. And when I first came
Thank
in
you.
here, you were one of the first people I've met other than Mark Berman. And I remember that day because I was
hmm
like, you're the one that was like, man, I built everything in here. And I was like, dude, what's going on? And Sandwich actually was the one I had asked him. I was like, can you show me how to make a gun work? And I was working one day and he popped in there and showed me how to do it in like 45 minutes. And then from there, I was playing with guns and it was so much fun. But like, you're such a
hmm
helpful person to so many people and you've
Thank you.
collabed on so many awesome things. Do you want to talk about that a bit?
Yeah, that's one of the greatest things about Horizon is being able to collaborate with people. Like if I were to learn how to program with really anything else, um, I would have no way of asking somebody for help. And you'd just be,
Yeah.
you've got tutorials and whatnot, but it's not, and you can't interact with them. And um, so being able to have people come in and actually be there with you and teach you how to do it is a game changer. My worlds would
Mm.
be nothing without all the help that I've had from all my collaborators. Um, Basically, all the art in my worlds is created by other people. And also, I've had scripters come in there who are super helpful with um, finding bugs and solving solutions that I haven't thought of.
Yeah.
And yeah, one of my best friend in here, Mark Berman, we're completely different people, and but we have very different skill sets. So we were able to work on different parts of the project without clashing with each other, which is super helpful. Having somebody who's super good with art and then I can do all the scripting, and we're not fighting each other with what should go where and whatnot. So it's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
cool how there's all these people with different skill sets who can help you if you need help with programming or scripting, then people can come in and help you with that. If you need help with art, then there's always people who are out there who can help with that. There's just it's so awesome how everybody is so willing to help out and lend a hand with that.
Yeah, it
Totally.
doesn't
Yeah.
hurt to
That's
ask. Like
awesome.
everyone really is so
Mm-hmm.
busy in here, but like it doesn't hurt to ask because I remember when I had asked you for help, you had said I am so busy, but I would love to help you when I have time. And you know, like it was a couple days later, I was just working there and you popped in there, right? So I
Yeah.
mean, don't
That's
and
so
that
nice.
that honestly gave me such a push. Like it really did. So
It's
thank you,
wonderful.
man.
You know what I
It was
think is
fun.
so interesting about Horizon is every person has their own, like, what they're really good at. You know, Merc, we know he's good at art. Sandwich, you're obviously really
Mhm.
good at scripting.
My art style is pretty mediocre. Like I can build objects, but it's not gonna like blow you away with the aesthetics of it or whatever. Um, all the art basically, I get the idea for it, and then I just kind of explain to the collaborators what I'm wanting in there. And it's super incredible how they just go right in and just make it all for you. And it's like everything that I had imagined and wanted in my world is already created for me. It's like super helpful or it's amazing how helpful people are to go in and help you. As far as scripting, of course, that's my strong point.
Yeah.
There's definitely things that I don't know, and I have to go to other people and ask them for help with that.
Yeah. Of course.
So there's always more you can learn.
And then what about creating your ideas? Because I think one of the strongest
Mm-hmm.
points of your worlds is the idea behind them, whether it's like Action Island or like I know that one's pretty popular. And then you have Mine Wars. I just love the idea of being able to fight with other people. And then I mean, there's a dozen other worlds you've created. But how do you get your ideas and how do you form them into a cohesive, playable game?
So with Action Island, that was more just like I had played some other shooting games, and I really wanted to have multiple weapon types because if you just have one weapon type, like you have one, let's say, pistol or laser gun or whatever, um, it doesn't create as much dynamics where,
Yeah.
let's say,
Yeah.
that you have to use different strategies for, like, if you have a sniper and someone's got a shotgun, you have to
Yeah.
use a different strategy for that compared to whether you have like a pistol and somebody else has a rocket launcher. You've got to strategize
Yeah.
differently for that. So I really just wanted multiple types of weapons in there so that it would create different dynamics where you have to react to the situation that you're in. With Retro Zombies,
Oh yeah.
basically, there was a few people who wanted a zombie game. And
Oh
so
yeah.
I was like, all right, so
Yep.
what
Just a few.
would work in, yeah, a lot of people wanted a zombie game. So I'm like, okay, what would work inside of Horizon? We're super limited with our objects. We're super limited with our capacity. It's not like we can have a game where we just have like swarms of zombies at you and they're
Oh
all
yeah.
animated properly and going crazy and whatnot. So I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, so what can I make in here? And I was thinking that the Call of Duty Zombies would be the easiest thing to try to put in here. Basically, just wanting to try to get as close to Call of Duty Zombies as possible. And then as I was working with it, it's limited, so you got to work down from there. And I just wanted to make it difficult as possible with what you have, and also have um, have unlimited room to get better at it. Because if there's
Hmm.
ever a point in your game where you feel like you've completed it, then people are never going to come back. So really wanted it to be a wave shooter where um, it
Yeah.
just keeps on getting more and more difficult, and then it's more of a challenge to
Yeah.
see how far you can get, um,
Yeah.
instead of just like shoot these zombies and then you're done.
That's so
Um,
interesting. I love that. So I'm
Thanks.
curious with
With
your wave system for
hmm
I released a really cruddy zombie game very quickly, just dirty, put it out. And I made it so it had a maximum of 100 waves, but I felt
hmm
theoretically it was impossible to get to wave 100. So is there any wave that you think
hmm
is just impossible to beat that you didn't really think people would go past?
um, after level 27, it starts getting really difficult. Um,
Yeah.
if I don't think anybody's gotten to level 40 yet. If somebody
Okay.
has, I'd
Yeah.
be surprised. I remember actually Seg probably has. I remember we were playing and we ended up running into the construction worker who has a ton of health, and I think he
Oh,
had like over 5,000 health or something, and
oh
we
my
just gave up
goodness.
on it when we were on like level 39. So that was the furthest I've ever gotten to.
Oh my goodness, that's great.
With
Very
Mine
cool.
Wars, the reason why I got the idea for that was there was a game called Age of War that I really liked playing when I was a kid,
Hmm.
where basically you started out in um, the caveman times, and then as you progressed, you'd go into like further or more advanced
Yeah.
civilizations. And then it's the same concept. You've got the two sides, and then you deploy your troops, and they go and fight each other, and then you got to take over the enemy side. And I really always wanted to play that in multiplayer because um, the game was just against the NPC. So
Yeah.
for over a decade, really wanted to have that where I could play against someone else. And then finally, Horizon has given me the opportunity to do that, where I can actually build it myself and play the game that I've always wanted to.
I want to take a second to talk about something that's not it's good to talk about because I know you brought it up a while back. Did you ever figure out what to do about the people kind of getting to a stalemate? Have you found a solution to that yet?
I have worked on that. So yeah, before you would constantly get at a stalemate because as you were upgrading your guys,
Mm-hmm.
they would also increase how much cash you would get from them and also the cost.
Yeah.
So I realized that to make it so that you can get ahead of the other player, you have to. I made it so that the cash doesn't increase. So if you have a better player,
Mm.
then it will actually give you more cash than someone else
Okay.
gives
Yeah.
back. So before it was like no matter what you did, you were always giving the other side more cash than your side. So it was basically impossible,
Yeah.
unless you were just a lot better than the other player. Um, and so, yeah, I removed the cash increasing, and I also um, square rooted the XP increase. That way,
Mm.
as you get to higher levels, the increase is less. So
Ah.
you could have like if one side is like twice as good, then you only get
Mm-hmm.
square root of two times the XP instead. So that way it would
Yeah.
give you an advantage. So
That's
basically,
awesome.
as you're getting ahead of the other side, it makes it easier to get ahead of the other side, which makes it easier to end.
Curious, what gives you the ideas to build your worlds? What inspires you to put
Um,
all these details and get your resources for all of it?
I really just spend a lot of time thinking about what I want to build, I guess. And so it just kind of comes. I take a look at games that I like, and think about how I can try to recreate those and what kind of games are possible to recreate inside of Horizon. So
Yeah.
if like the game depends on having to have like a bunch of objects or like changing a bunch of stuff, then that wouldn't really be possible inside of Horizon. So yeah, basically just find games that I've enjoyed in the past and then which one of those are possible, and also how can I reduce those games so that it's possible to have in here.
Do you like to script better or build better?
I definitely like the script better. If there's something that needs to be built in a world, I would much rather just load that off to somebody else and have them do it. I remember there was times in Action Island where like there just weren't people coming in to build stuff, and like I just felt like I was left to do all the art on my own. And I'm thinking like, oh no, I'm gonna ruin the art in here. Like it can't be as good as what other people can do. And it's like I'm gonna have half of my world be all mediocre looking and whatnot. So yeah, definitely build scripting more than building. I'd rather have somebody else build things than me do the building.
I find that interesting. I when I started, I actually would just refuse to build. I mean, just like so bad, absolutely horrible. And I've gotten to the point now, maybe it's because I've worked with Merc for so long, but I can build an object that I'm at least okay with. Like a microphone like this, I don't think I built this one, but it's 3 objects. But this is something I would build probably in 2 objects, and I'd be like, ah, that's fine. But then Merc comes along and he's like, I'm going to make that better. And so what I kind of like doing, and I'm curious if you do this at all, is by taking kind of these base like really simplistic models, and then when an artist comes in that you work with and they like upgrade it, is that something you do at all?
Yeah, that does happen sometimes. Like the fountain in Retro Zombies, I created like a really bland fountain, and then Mark came in there. I'm like, hey Mark, can you like make this prettier? And so he did. And usually I just kind of like have a word that tells them what to build. Like I'll have like kind of like a blueprint for what I'm wanting, and then put notes around the world that tell the artists what goes where and whatnot. And every time I've done that, they've always surprised me with how good of the objects and how like well they've managed to create exactly what I was wanting. It's really incredible.
Yeah, I want to take a quick moment to promote a really amazing event. If you haven't heard about it, it is Sports Ball Sundays. We haven't talked about it yet, but seriously, that is awesome. Right? It's an awesome event, and the art in there was done by T. Mark Berman, I believe, and it's also just a wonderful.
He did a lot of the art.
Place.
The field itself and like the stands and whatnot was done by somebody named Lucas, who he left Horizon like a week before the game was done, and I have not seen him since. So Mark did a lot of the art in there. I asked him to freshen up the art, and he made it so much better than how it was before.
That's so cool.
And that one's really great for events just because you can have 16 people in there. You've got the game, which is what gets people there and a reason to be there, and then you've got your cheerleader outfits and your signs to cheer people on, and then if you don't feel like
cheerleader outfits are for
Sassy's the best cheerleader. And then if you don't feel like doing that, you can go to the pool or the beach or whatever. So it's a great way to have a lot of people in there and hang out.
Awesome.
I wanted to do that for the longest time when I first created a sports ball, but there just wasn't a large enough audience in Horizon to create those kind of events. So I waited a while, and then now is a good time to have it. So
that's awesome.
So I do agree that I am the best cheerleader North America.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Totally.
I just wanted to make a comment and be like, 5andw1ch has been honestly the coolest dude I've ever met. I believe the first time I met him, although my memory is bad AF, I believe I met him back at what's now called Action Island, and with my old group, who are now
Oh, yeah.
Basic. And I
Oh.
remember we met you, and and we were like, oh wow, he's so dreamy. And he did all this, and he's
I
so
know his new
cool.
avatar is
Like,
ultra dreamy.
I'm
Like,
gonna,
no
I like,
joke.
I'm getting hot in here, and I think it might be the AC. but Savage is an all-around cool dude. In all seriousness, he's very cool, and he's always
Thank you.
willing to lend a helping hand, like Olive Garden and Penn Express, and I appreciate that. But my question for you is: has there been like a creation that you made, not necessarily like a world you made, but just something within that world, whether that be a script or like a model or a building of some sort, structure wise, that you're most proud of that you made?
I think the flowers in Mind Wars I'm the most proud of. I did not know I could make aesthetically pleasing looking flowers, and I did. So I'm pretty proud of myself with the flowers in Mind Wars.
That's awesome. Love it.
Yeah, well, out of all your
Thank you.
worlds, which one's your favorite?
Which one's my favorite?
Yeah.
Action Island will always be special to me. That was the first one. That's
Definitely.
what really got me recognized. And it's my most popular. So that one's really
Cool.
fun just because you're playing against other people, and that allows for really a lot of different things to happen inside the game instead of it feeling scripted. So you can always go in there and you'll have a completely different experience every time.
Good evening, Sandwich. Hey, love your sports
Hello.
ball events.
Over around.
It was
Thank you.
we
Appreciate
caught up
it.
at least one of them. Then I pulled everybody to the house party, and that's about how it goes.
Oh, yeah.
Sassy was there, you know.
That was a fun house party.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Shameless plug. My question for you is this: you openly said that you'd much rather put the artwork on someone else. I am an artist,
Right.
and I understand that that is kind of how this whole world works. We find people to collaborate with who have
Right.
different abilities, and we make something great. What do you think? Do you think there's like a greater ratio to scripters, people who would prefer that, to artists, or do you find that there's a flood of artists coming your way? Where do you see yourself in that atmosphere?
Yeah, I feel like there's only a handful of well, compared to the artists, there's only a handful of scripters in here. So yeah, there's a ton of artists in here. So yeah.
Really
Definitely a lot
continuing
more
with that
artists than
question,
scripters.
I just want to know, what would you say to someone who's just getting started building, scripting, etc.? What would you say to someone who's just joined Horizon and they want to start?
Don't be afraid to ask for help. You can learn so much when you go to somebody and ask for help. Like, even though it might feel good to figure something out on your own or do everything on your own, you're always getting so many more ideas when you go to someone else and ask for help. Maybe they have a completely different solution than you ever would have thought of, or they can do it better, or they can teach you something you didn't know. But just never be afraid to ask for help because it's super, super beneficial. And if it weren't for me asking so many people to help me, then I never would have had the worlds in the position that they're at right now.
That's awesome advice. Yeah. And for those who are afraid to ask for help, shameless plug, we now have 2 build tours and 1 scripting tour that happen every week on Wednesdays, and we're so excited. So I'll be announcing that after the event, but I just want to thank you so much, Sandwich, for joining us. Seriously, absolute pleasure having you on the show. We cannot wait to go check out Mind Wars and whatever worlds you have coming up next. We are so excited for them all. Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
See you guys in the next one. Bye.